What's up? Welcome to Agree to Disagree. This is week number 2, episode number 2. Thank you. If you joined us last week, we greatly appreciate it. I'm your host, Jay Noetic. We have 3 awesome politicers in here today. 3 from last week. Let's start with some introductions. We'll start with Alan. Go ahead there, brother.
I'm Alan Hinton, 8Flash79 on Twitter. Follow me if you want to see Redskins and hip-hop tweets, because that's about all I probably tweet. I'm from Chesapeake, Virginia, living in Wilmington.
Great turn.
And John Turner. You can follow me on Twitter at Everybody Loves John. You can follow me if you want narratives busted. If you hear something on TV that's usually not correct, I'm there to bust it for you.
That's what's up. Perfect.
I'm Perfect Purvis. You can follow me on Twitter at Perfect Purvis. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you're just going to get information about sports updates, pretty much how my Twitter goes. I'm originally from Texas. Now I'm living in Finland, up in Europe. Let's get it.
And again, I'm Jay Noetic. You can follow me on Twitter at Jay Noetic. And please follow the group Twitter at Sports Politicen. I will post it in the video later on this evening. Before we get started, before we dive into it, we want to say our condolences to the Ali family. Muhammad Ali, as you know, has just passed away a couple of days ago, and we all know that Muhammad Ali did some great things, not only in sports but outside of sports, and he will surely be missed and can never be replaced. So, with that said, we're going to get this started. The rules and the scoring system is posted in the events link. These guys are trying to get the other politicers to agree with them so they can get some points. If that does not happen, then they're going to lose some points as well. We're going to have fun. It's going to be rapid. Hope y'all are ready. Also, we have question and answer sessions. So if you got a question for us, post those questions in there so we can get to them as well. First up, the first politician to try to get us started today is going to be Mr. Perfect himself. Last week's champion, Leonard, decided to take his championship belt and go on vacation. We don't know how we feel about that, but we may let him back next week. Let's get it, Perfect.
Well, the topic I had was, in the MLB, do they need to make changes in order to attract the younger generation? For my personal opinion, I do not think they need to make any changes whatsoever. Youth participation in sports is down as a whole. About 20% of kids are not doing as much sports as they were 3 or 4 years ago. That's just what we're competing with right now with Twitter, internet, video games, and all these other things that are keeping kids inside and away from playing these sports. Now, baseball is down by about 8%, which is a large number compared to football at only 5%. These are just numbers. The real thing that baseball has going for them is that the younger generation outside of the youth, outside of the kids, the young adults, they get a chance to play baseball a lot longer than these other sports. Baseball is the only sport where their minor league system has over 10,000 players. These players age from 22 years old to 28 years old. So you have kids who are basically growing into adulthood still playing this sport at a large amount. And this isn't just for fun. I'm talking minor league players who make a minimum of $40,000 a year. So this is their livelihood. When they're done, if they don't make it to the majors, they're 30 years old, they've made $40K for 4 years, they started a family while they were playing in the minors, their life is invested in the sport. And in turn, what happens is that they continue to be involved in baseball, and their kids grow up involved in it. Because daddy made a living in it, even though he wasn't in the major. So with the kids not being as active as they were, all the sports are in trouble in the future. Because you have to compete with all the stuff that are keeping kids away from physical activity. But the Major League Baseball already has a system in place that's pretty much foolproof. They're recycling players by keeping them playing the sport a lot longer. And what they're getting with this specialization that the kids are doing now is that basically they're getting better players. and then they're getting more players that are like baseball specific, but they're losing a little bit of casual fans. But every sport is. So I don't think they need to make any changes whatsoever.
Oh, y'all look at that. He finished with 45 seconds to go.
After last week, that's a huge surprise.
Surprised.
Now I agree with him ending before his time. That gets a laminated agree. Yes.
Okay. So how many agrees do we have with that? I'll have to be the tiebreaker today. We're missing one other person. Hopefully they'll join here shortly. So until then, I'll be the tiebreaker. So we got one agree and one disagree. Before I be the tiebreaker, let's do it really quick. 1 minute on the disagree.
Well, I do feel like Major League Baseball needs to make changes, and I think a lot of the changes need to be made in trying to bring African American kids to the game. There's not a lot of programs that go in the inner cities for baseball. You have RBI, which tries to get out to the inner cities to do it. But a lot of the times the kids are really being attracted to football and basketball because those are the glamour sports. Those are the sports that generally, what the thought is that you make the most money or you get the most women. When in reality, baseball players really make more money than everybody, especially the superstars. When A-Rod was A-Rod, Albert Pujols, Robinson Cano just signed for $275 million, I believe. So, and you don't want to really pitch money to kids when they're younger, but if you're talking about future livelihood, I think that's something that you really need to speak to. Also,
that's your time. I know you heard that. All right. So, good points, Turner. Excellent points, actually. I'm going to have to say that I think that the bigger problem for baseball is actually getting U.S. players continue to play. I think it's going to be overtaken. So I don't really think that I don't think they need to make any changes. So unfortunately, perfect. I'm going to have to disagree, and that means you have more disagrees than agrees. But guess what? There's going to be plenty of opportunities to get your points back. I promise you. So unlike last week, when you started off in the positive, this week you are actually starting off in the negative. Any retorts? 30 seconds.
Oh, you're going to give me a retort?
30 seconds. It's counting.
Okay, that's fine. I don't really need the whole 30 seconds. The thing is, Jarrell told me that it needs to be centered towards African Americans and the minority youth. The problem with that is that all the sports are being specialized. MLB knows who is going to play baseball, and they have those people playing baseball. You can't ask them to do more than that when you have other sports who aren't doing more than that as well. And the thing I'm saying is that MLB doesn't need to change what they're doing because they're built to survive. I'm not saying that they're built for everybody to play. That's not how the sports are going with these kids. But you don't see basketball players trying to dedicate anything to white kids. I wouldn't make it a race thing. I would just say it's a whole kids thing. The youth in general are not playing sports. The baseball players are still playing baseball, and it's more specialized. That's all it is. It's not that they need to open up to more races.
All right. Well, that's okay. We'll give you a chance to get back into it. But great topic. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. We're going to follow up a little bit later. Going on to subject number 2. I think Turner's up next. Turner, is that right?
Yeah. Before I go, I want to say, Purvis, I'm digging that float like a butterfly, sting like a bee in the background. That's Woody Page-esque. That is Woody Page-esque. I'm digging that. I'm really digging that. No shade. I'm really digging that.
And guys, we apologize if we have any lag going on right now. We're all kind of getting hit with it right now, and not really sure why, because we all made sure it was good before the show started, and we were. But hopefully it'll get all straightened out before the show is over with. Moving on to topic number 2, Turner. Let us know what it is, brother. Let's get it. You remember last week, though?
Yeah, I already know. Okay, so my topic is about James Harden being snubbed for the All-NBA team. Now, there's always issues with voting. It's a big popularity contest, but there was really no objective measure that said that James Harden should have been snubbed for the All-NBA team. And I'm gonna even go one step further and tell you who he should have replaced on the team, and that was Damian Lillard. Now, let me say this. I'm a huge Damian Lillard fan. I love Lillard. However, you can't make the case that Harden's defense was so bad that it kept him off the team, but then you turn around, and then put Damian Lillard on the team. Damian Lillard is just as defensive deficient as Harden is. And then if we look to the numbers, ESPN's Real Plus Minus had James Harden as a superior player, actually as the best shooting guard in the NBA. James Harden had the higher player efficiency rating. That's an all-encompassing stat. However, it doesn't account for defense. And then when you actually look at them play, James Harden is actually, what he does is he's their whole entire offense. Damian Lillard, meanwhile, has C.J. McCollum to take the load off of him. So if we're looking at it from that perspective, James Harden really has no other offensive threats on his team, but he had, and you can't really count Dwight Howard at this point as an offensive threat. His usage rate has dwindled as the years have gone by due to age. But James Harden had to literally carry their offense. He was the point guard, the shooting guard. He literally had to do everything for him. I would have put James Harden on the third team. I would have put Kyle Lowry to the second team because he was better than both. I think the shine from the Blazers making the playoffs, and they wanted to attribute all the credit to Damian. He deserved it, but he was not a better player than James Harden this season. So I would have had Harden on the third team, and I would have moved Damian Lillard off. It's not really an objective argument. There's not an empirical argument for it. And if you look at him play, unless you have bias and don't like James Harden, you can't really look at him and say that Lillard's better than Harden either.
So basically, you're saying that Harden, you got to throw away, the defensive perspective because of the other players you put on there. So I feel you on that.
Not saying throwing it away, but they're both not good on defense. So if you're going to punish Harden for his defense, it's difficult to say. It's difficult to say that you should then replace him with another defensively deficient player.
Gotcha. All right. How many agrees do we have? Oh, we got 2 agrees. Disagree. I guess we got Alan with a disagree. Go ahead and throw it up. Even though it don't matter, we're gonna get turned on the board in a positive for week 2.
Was that a disagree or an agree, Alan?
I disagree. That was a disagree.
Okay.
That was a disagree. So I give you your point, Turner. So what we're going to do right now, Alan, give us your perspective on why you disagree for that.
I think James Harden was left off of the All-NBA teams for more than just his defense. I think so many people focus on his defense as one of his major flaws, which it is, but it's not his only flaw. James Harden, since he's become a starter, which is, when he got traded to Houston, has been one of the most turnover-prone guards in the league. If you look at his numbers, there aren't many shooting guards that turn the ball over as much as he do. Obviously, he probably handles the ball more than a lot of shooting guards, partially because of the fact that his point guard is Patrick Beverley. But he turns the ball over entirely too much. I'm trying to look at Damian Lillard's stats right now, but I'm willing to bet he doesn't turn the ball over nearly as much as James Harden does, and he shoots a higher percentage. So, if their scoring is even comparable, and like you're saying, they're similar on defense, you got to look at other stats. Obviously, I'm not looking at advanced stats because I'm not that kind of guy, but if you got a guy who just turns the ball over crazy, yeah, he's getting the numbers, but what does it take?
No, you can keep going. I was just going to say that, but couldn't that be part of with Harden, though? He has more possessions per game, right? Like a faster offense. So the more possessions you have, aren't you more liable to have more turnovers?
Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, I just think that I think Harden's a good player, and I think he should make the team as well. Perfect. You've been a little quiet. I'm gonna give you a chance to go ahead and say something, even though I know you agree. But
Yeah,
go ahead and say something real quick.
I agree. Just even outside of talking about just doing the offense and him not being as good on defense, the guy he was an offensive player. We know that. Lillard was an offensive player. We know that. I'm not really comparing both of them because I feel like it's more oranges and apples. But I feel that you can't say that he wasn't one of the best 6 guards in the league. And just saying that he wasn't is just a major snub. And I think it has a lot to do with how the media portrayed him and his defense. I think that played a little bit too much into it because with all pros, all-stars, there's a lot of media into it. But when you get all-pro, that's something that like people like take to the bank of like their legacy in every sport. Everybody will tell you, "Oh, I don't care about the Pro Bowls and All-Star games. It's the All-Pros because those are supposed to be from your respected peers. Those are supposed to be from sports people that know the game, that look at the game, and not just the general landscape of what you're doing. And you can't look at the game and not say James Harden is not a top 6 guard. I'm not saying he's better or worse than Lillard, but he's a top 6. If you say he's not, then you're just being biased.
All right. Hey, real quick question. Who drew that picture behind you, Perfect?
My wife drew it for me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Shout out to Miss Purvis though.
Yeah.
Shout out to Miss Purvis though.
I was halfway going to just take credit for it.
I
wasn't going to do that.
I would have.
You're in the other room. She wasn't going to let me do that.
Those are some skills, man. You don't see my drawing skills. They horrendous.
Believe me, all I can draw is stick people.
That's what's up.
If I drew them, they probably look a lot alike. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Is that a bumblebee or a butterfly? All right, Alan, you're up, brother.
So my topic is the Roney Rule needing to be changed. So a little bit of background on the Roney Rule. It started after the 2002 season when Denny Green and Tony Dungy were fired. Tony Dungy had been in the playoffs. Denny Green had got fired. It was his first losing season in his stint with the Vikings. Johnny Cochran and Cyrus Mary did a study and put it out that showed that black head coaches were more likely to be fired and less likely to be hired than their white counterparts. Initially, the rule seemed like it worked out pretty well. In 2006, the percentage of head coaches, black head coaches in the NFL, went from 6% to 22%. Since then, there hasn't really been much change. You've had what can only really be described as token coaches that get interviews. What I think should happen to the rule, we should limit any head coaching candidate that would satisfy that rule to 3 interviews per offseason. Todd Bowles is the only current minority head coach that interviewed more than twice and got a job. Mike Tomlin only interviewed with the Steelers. Ron Rivera only interviewed with the Panthers. And I believe that Marvin Lewis only interviewed with the Bengals the year he got hired. Whereas Ray Horton has gotten 6 interviews in 4 years and has yet to get a head coaching job. Perry Fewell has had 4 interviews in 2011, got no offers, and has only had 2 interviews since. Jim Caldwell is also a head coach. He had 2 interviews the year he got hired in Detroit. Terrell Austin had 4 interviews in 2015 and 4 interviews in 2014. He's yet to receive a head coach offer. I think that the minority coaches that are going to get jobs, and having between 3 and 9 interviews doesn't change that. Any guy who's getting more than 3 interviews in the offseason, A, probably isn't going to get a job, and B, is really only looking at it or being looked at to satisfy this rule. One thing Ray Horton I forgot to mention, one of his 6 interviews was with the Tennessee Titans the same day that they hired Mike Mularkey. So it was obvious that they realized they hadn't fulfilled the rule and just hired a guy. So we need to limit the amount of interviews these guys can do.
Got you. So you are saying that the rule does need to be revamped completely based on what you found.
Yeah.
All right. I agree, but let's see what the fellas feel. Throw up signs.
Oh my gosh, man. Oh, because no. I agree. Okay, let me say this. Let me hold up my agree. My laminated agree.
Yes, hold it up.
I agree that I agree that the rule needs to be changed. I don't agree with some of the stuff that they said. Yeah, I'm on the fence about that. I agree that the rule I agree that the rule needs to change, man, but
What don't you?
No, let's do this. Let's do this. We're gonna give Allen his just due.
Okay.
He got the unanimous agree.
First one.
Didn't see that coming.
So we're gonna give you 5 points for that, Allen. Congratulations. Don't lose them. Last week you was -5.
There's nothing for me to challenge, so I think I'm good.
And so now, we have time to debate because, again, it's only 3 of us, and I'm hosting. So let's talk about a little bit more. Turner, give a little more.
What I didn't agree with was I don't necessarily think they should limit the interviews, only because I feel like if you're interviewing people even if you don't get the job, you're on people's radars. You don't know who's going to have the next head coaching opportunity. You don't know who's going to have a next job as an assistant somewhere, and they'll remember an interview with you, and then it's like, oh, he interviewed with us very well. Maybe we could bring him in or something like that. And just for the interviewing experience, I also feel like, yes, it is becoming token just to interview, but I don't feel like we should limit the amount of interviews. I mean, because if a candidate felt like there was just an interview, then what could happen if they don't have to accept the interview? They don't have to go. So that's the part I disagree with.
That's what Parafield did in 2011. He turned down some interviews. But my response to that, if I'm
hold on, let Perfect go.
That's good. I'm gonna jump on what Turner said about the limiting the interviews. I don't think that you want to limit the interviews, because what you're gonna have then is, right now what you have is, okay, this minority has done a couple interviews. We don't know what minority. As I'm an owner, I'm thinking we don't know what minority we should interview. So we've seen this guy's done some. Let's bring him in. Okay, we're not giving him a job, but we know he's qualified. What we're gonna have if you limit their interviews is you're gonna have less qualified minorities getting interviews, and it's gonna become a free fall. Like almost anybody that is of dark skin or not Caucasian descent is getting interviewed for these jobs, and they're not deserving. I think that if you're gonna change the process, you need to change the process and be more specific. The Rooney Rule doesn't state that you have to interview a minority for coordinator positions. And what's happening is a lot of minorities are actually not getting coordinator positions. So even if I'm not trying to be biased to race, there's not that many minority coordinators. So I have to interview a position coach who honestly is not qualified, but he meets the Rooney Rule. And that's what I feel is the biggest issue with the Rooney Rule, is that it's not structured well enough to create progress, because you don't. I mean, just as an owner or anyone over a business, you don't want to hire a store manager who has never actually been a manager, you know. And a coordinator, that's managing the offense or defense. And I don't want a head coach who's only done being a quarterback coach. And the same thing goes for other positions as well. And I think that the process is what needs to be fixed, not necessarily just changing the amount of interviews. That's more like a rule that you can adjust, but the actual process is broken. It needs to be revamped.
I feel like though, with the lack of minority coaches, you would think that with the Rooney Rule there would be more, right? But based on the stats that Alan just gave, there really isn't. So are we saying that there aren't minority coaches that are qualified, and like that's a bigger problem. And so I just think it needs to be revamped somehow. Again, when it comes to discrimination, it's not really anything you can follow that has proven to be the right way to go. So I don't know the correct answer or the correct solution for the rule. I just know when I look at the games on Sunday and I look at these positions where coordinators are, the head coaches are, you don't see many people of color. You see them on the field, but not, calling plays and whatnot. So, Alan, really quick, 1 minute.
So the rule itself is only for head coaching and front office positions. So like Purpose said, it doesn't in any way affect coordinator positions. And I do agree that you should add a coordinator position to it. That definitely does need to be added. It needs to be structured more. But what you were saying about limiting the number of interviews a coach can do means there'd be less coaches who get interviewed. To me, that sounds lazy. That makes it seem like everybody's only interviewing that hot token candidate, and that's kind of the problem in my mind. If we remove the ability for you to interview that token, it forces you to do your research, and that to me gives more opportunity to more minority coaches. And that's really what this whole thing is about. It's not about identifying one or two guys every year that are people of color that should be interviewed. It is to force teams to recognize there are more people of color out there that are worth it. I like the internship program that the NFL put in, I think 3 or 4 years ago. You've seen a lot of former players now. Deuce Staley was with Philly this past year that are getting that opportunity to learn how to coach, and I think that'll end up paying dividends long term.
All right, all good points, fellas. All good points. Right now, score update. We have 5 points for Allen, 1 point for Turner, and -1 for Perfect. So we're all right there. But it's going to require some challenges. So it seems like to catch Allen, guys. So, but we'll see how it goes in our firing on all cylinders round. So the fourth topic that we're going to talk about is that do we believe that coaches are overpaid? My personal perspective on this is if you watched last week's episode, we talked about college players should be paid. And so this week we're talking about coaches. Now I have to say that coaches are definitely overpaid. If you're not going to pay the players or find a way to pay the players something, then how can you justify paying these coaches millions and millions of dollars to coach these players? Yes, championships are important, and yes, you're bringing in money for you, but couldn't the coaches take less money per capita to help figure out a way to pay these players? That's just kind of my thought on it. But I'm going to leave it up to you guys to agree to disagree. Do you feel that coaches are, and I guess let's talk about college coaches specifically. Let's leave NFL coaches out of it for now. College coaches, are they overpaid? We got to agree, we got to disagree, we got to disagree. So really quick, we got time, so don't go pretty quick. Take your time. Let's talk about the Perfect, since you're the only one that agrees that coaches are overpaid. Really quick, please. Tell me why.
I just really agree with a lot of what you said. The coaches are getting all this money. The players are not getting any of it. That's unfair. It doesn't follow the model. And I know we're keeping the NFL out of it, but that's the purpose of college football, is to get to the NFL level. And in the NFL level, these coaches are not out. They're not getting paid more than the players they're coaching. And when you have those scholarships, even the scholarship doesn't add up. Like, if these players if their scholarship is for 4 years, $60,000, and the coach is making $1.5 million per year, it doesn't add up. I'm no mathematician. I don't know how to do it, but it needs to be changed. And I think if it were changed, we'd have a stricter process with these coaches. And I think it would even go into helping with the Rooney Rule, having more qualified coaches moving up into the NFL ranks. Think about it. If the money wasn't there in college, maybe Nick Saban would be in the NFL. Maybe some of these other great coaches would be in the NFL instead of in college football with a stranglehold on certain universities when someone else who is deserving doesn't get the chance. I'm thinking if we lowered how much they're getting paid and gave them the incentive to do just like the players, get to the league, then maybe we could create a better coaching system.
Cool. Disagree. Turner, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Saban, Purvis, because that's actually my point of why I disagree. You pay for performance. The kids aren't getting paid, and I don't know if the coaches and the players' money, if they were paid, will come out of the same bucket. I assume it would. Excuse me. But you look at a Nick Saban. Now, Alabama is the cream of the crop in college football. Everybody doesn't like the SEC, but that's what it is. You look at a coach like Nick Saban, they have more control over a college football atmosphere than the NFL coach does because you recruit the players, you also practice with the players, you coach the players. In school, the kids are mostly, they're not going to make any waves because they know you can get your scholarship pulled at any time. So if you're a great recruiter, you're a great coach, and you're constantly successful, and you can get people in the seats to watch you play, and part of that is because of the coach brings all of the players together, why shouldn't they be paid for that? Like you look at a guy like Les Miles. Les Miles has a factory of players that go to the NFL every year, and it's not just what they do at the school, it's what the NFL players do. You graduate the players, they make a lot of money in the NFL, they come back, put more money into the school. It's all a cycle, but it all starts with the coach because the coach recruits the players and put players in the system where they can be successful. So I feel like they should be paid more if possible. Well, depending on the coach, obviously, again, pay for performance. But if you're a great coach, you should absolutely be paid for that. I'll give another example. Mark D'Antonio in Michigan State, big fan of his. He's turned them into a powerhouse. Michigan was getting all of those recruits that were going to Michigan, the state of Michigan, I mean. And now he got them boys going to Michigan State, and they've really taken over. Now, Harbaugh may change that, but you see a coach who wins, you have an identifiable style and culture, you get people to go to your school. Why not pay them for that?
Alan, go ahead.
Really, the only thing I have to say, because Turner said a lot of what I was going to say, but a very big part of the reason I disagree is that, yes, while head coaches are getting paid a lot, only a small percentage of that money actually comes from the school. I was just looking up right quick. His last year at Auburn, Tommy Tuberville got paid $2.6 million. He only got $260,000 of that from the school. The rest of it came as a what they call a longevity bonus, which is paid for by boosters. The NCAA does not allow student athletes to get paid by boosters, so that same money that is going to coaches isn't available to the players. But if random booster X, $1 million alum wants to give $1 million to the head coach, to me, if it's not coming out of the school's budget, the athletic budget, taxpayer money, I don't really have a problem with it. The difference between that and college athletes, for me, the money that's paying college athletes is paying departments. The money that's coming from these boosters to the coaches are going to the coach. So like Turner was saying, if you're paying for performance, if you're at Alabama, if you're at Stanford, if you're at Michigan, and your team's going to bowl games every year, and you've got boosters that like that and want to keep paying your coach, why stop that?
Yeah, but a lot of it is not also boosters, though. I mean, I'm looking at some of these coaches, man. Gary Pinkel from Missouri, $3.77 million per year. Steve Spurrier was getting $4 million. Some of these coaches have losing records. What are they? You saying they bringing in winning programs? A lot of these coaches don't have winning programs though. You know, and so $7 million is what Saban's making now. I mean, I just don't know if I can agree with like that being justified. Maybe
This all depends on the program. I mean, I hate the prestige program of whatever you want to call it. I think it's false. I don't think it's a real thing. Fallacy is the word I was looking for. But to an extent, you have certain programs that have had more success over time and have more money to give. You don't have any programs that haven't been successful at any point given that money. Like, I promise you, Larry Coker is not making $6.9 million to coach UTSA.
I feel you. All right, guys. So we are at the halfway mark. So it's now time for get me off the bench. What that means is any of our players who are in the negative will get an opportunity to prove that they are worthy of game time.
Put me in, coach.
Currently, our politician who is in the negative is perfect. A drastic misfortune from alternative events from last week. So perfect. What we're going to do? We're going to give you 2 topics, and you have basically 1 minute to give a point of view, a point of perspective. You need to get both Allen and Turner to agree. If you don't, I guess I have to pick the tiebreaker. All right? So, get your thinking cap on. Your first topic to get you off of the bench. Serena Williams is the best women's tennis player ever. 3, 2, 1, go.
Easy peasy. Yes, she's the best. Serena Williams has 21 Grand Slams. She's number 3 all time in women's tennis. Basically, since the late 90s, early 2000s, she's dominated. She's been the one. She's the person you know about. The only other women that are like in her level, there's Margaret Court, Chris Evert, and this Czechoslovakian woman who I can't pronounce her name. But those women all had their different eras, but they all had rivalries within their eras. There was always somebody like slowing them down. Serena doesn't have that. She is women's tennis. It's pretty easy to see that, like, if she plays and continues to play the way she is for another 5 or 6 years, she's 3 Grand Slams away from catching Margaret Court and being at the top of Grand Slam for women. And she's 1 good year away from getting a true Grand Slam, all 4 within 1 calendar year. There's not really any doubt that she's
Fine. Yes. So, agree. Allen, Turner, or disagree? Agree. 1. Turner, 2 agree. So
I thought he was getting ready to disagree.
That's not even matter. We'll give you 1 point back on that one. Perfect. You are now -3.
-3.
I'm playing. No.
-1.
-1. So look, but here's my question to you. Steffi Graf has 22 Grand Slams. Serena has 1. How can Serena be the greatest tennis woman ever if she has not caught Steffi Graf?
Well, the thing is, her career is not over. Steffi Graf's career is over. Steffi Graf can't get more Grand Slams. Serena just lost a Grand Slam the other day. Like,
She lost the last 2.
Huh?
He's lost the last 2 Grand Slams he's tried to get.
Well, I'm saying recently. She just lost the last 2. And she still has a 78% win rate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know what a win rate is. But her win rate is how many times she wins the title when she gets the chance. So with that 80%, basically 80% she had compared to Steffi Graf, who had a 68%, if I'm not mistaken, she's basically guaranteed in the next 3 to 5 years to get 2 more.
Are you sure she's 35 though? She's 35. Is she guaranteed to get those? Fellas, speak up. Turner, Allen.
I was getting ready to point out the same thing. Serena's already getting ready to turn 35. Just to point it in reference, Steffi Graf retired at 32. So in the same point in time, I guess over the length of their careers, Steffi Graf did more with less time. Obviously, Serena got hurt quite a few. She had a couple years pretty much wiped away completely by injuries. But the concern for injury is even greater if she gets older. At 34, getting ready to turn 35 right now, how much longer do you think she can continue to play? Not play at a high level, because I think as long as she plays, she's going to play great. It's because of her style of play. But can you really honestly say 5 years from now, you expect Serena Williams to still be healthy and playing tennis?
Exactly.
I just think part of what's helping Serena with it is that because Steffi Graf had Monica Seles, Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova had each other. Like Serena Williams only had Venus, and Venus has been down for a while. Mm-hmm. They tried to make Sharapova a rival, but that was never really anything. So I feel like Serena, she could, like, if she goes into a tournament actually saying, I actually want to win it, I feel like she can. I feel like oftentimes she turns it off and on and just like, okay, I'm Serena. Either I'm going to win or I'm not. But I feel like if she turned it up with the lack of somebody who's close to her when she's at her best, yeah, I feel like she could.
All right.
I think of it, the biggest thing for her is competition.
I only have 1 minute. Here we go. On the negative, topic number 2. Roger Goodell is a good commissioner. Go. Perfect.
I think as a commissioner, he's doing good. I wouldn't say he's like a great commissioner, but he has the NFL in a spot where it is now, where it's making more money than it ever did before. The sport is growing globally. They're playing in London, I think 6 games this year, something like that. They're actually getting the sport to become something that everyone talks about. Even with college football, there was a time where you preferred to watch the national championship over the Super Bowl. But now, it does not matter. The NFL is – I don't see what that says. 10 more seconds. The NFL is what everybody wants to do. And you gotta give credit where it's due, and Goodell has done that.
Cool. Allen, Turner,
Good night.
disagree. Disagree. Dang. How they gonna do you like that though, Perfect? They gonna give you a point, get your hopes up, and then take away the point.
We give it and we take it away.
You win some, you lose some, dog.
Dang.
It's a tough topic. It's a tough topic.
Disagree. Go ahead, fellas. Allen.
I think you have to look at it holistically. From a financial standpoint, Roger Goodell is doing great. But the reality is, with players getting bigger, stronger, and faster right now, and sports becoming more popular just in general from a TV standpoint, the NFL will be doing great anyway. The only thing I think that you really have to attribute to him, and just not the sport, is expanding into different countries. The thing about that, he's trying to force a team into London, and players don't want to play there. They don't want to have to deal with going across the seas to play games. Players don't like his rule. They don't like the fact that he has control over discipline. And also, the NFL right now is in the midst of a scandal over how they're handling concussions. He's handled that completely wrong just from the beginning. I think that goes squarely on his shoulders. You can't say he's a good GM, a good commissioner when we have 2 major issues right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and if we're looking at it holistically, love that word, by the way, sir. Yes, you got to look at both sides. I mostly disagree, because then what you try to do is you try to peddle player safety, and then you try to add 2 more games to it. I mean, listen, I love football. We all love football. But even as a fan, The product that's on Thursday night, how they tried to have the Thursday night games immediately after the Sunday games, the product itself is bad. The players' bodies are still recovering. And then you want to add 2 more games on top of that. And then you want to make the playoffs bigger. Like, the playoffs are just fine as it is. My biggest issue with Goodell is the blatant disrespect that he has for the intelligence of the above average NFL fan. You can't sit there and you can't tell me that you care about player safety. You're moving games to Thursday. You're trying to add 2 games on it. Alan mentioned the concussion thing. And then you have your agendas. You know, everybody knows I'm a big Peyton Manning fan, but I don't hate Tom Brady at all. He's a legend, living legend. But what he's doing to Brady right now is an absolute disgrace. We are still talking about Deflategate, and this thing was 370 days ago. Why is this still an issue at this point?
Right.
Why is this even still an issue at this point? And the biggest issue is that he has DeMaurice Smith bent over. Say how you want it. He got him bent over. And as long as DeMaurice Smith is more in trying to litigate and instead of trying to fight for the players, the union is going to continue to get bent over.
Right.
That's it.
All right, so really quick. Perfect. I'm giving you 30 seconds to retort. Go.
Thank you. I understand what you're saying, fellas. He's not perfect, but that's just like what I said to begin my argument was that he's not great. He's good. I said he's doing an okay job. It's not an easy job. There's going to be negatives, but there's also positives. Both of you are giving me the negatives. I gave you some of the positives, and y'all are saying that the negatives outweigh the positives, but to your own agenda. The thing is, that's what you value in the sport. He has to balance both beams. So he has to take his licks when he can, and he has to make the progress when he can. That's a hard position for anyone to make.
Time. All right. Well, the good news for you, Perfect, is you're not completely out of it yet. We are going to move into firing on all cylinders. This is our lightning round. And so a little bit different from last week. We're going to do a few different topics. Each person will get 1 minute on that topic to give their perspective. They need to get 1 agree. If you get 1 agree, you get 1 point. That's all you got. That's all you got to do. All right? And so, who should I go first? I think we'll choose Turner. Turner, you're 4 points behind right now. So you need these points. All right? So the topic that you're all going to discuss for the first topic is, we have a few. The switch in the NBA from big man dominance to guard dominance is a good thing. 3, 2, 1, Turner, go.
It's definitely good if you're looking at it from the perspective of bringing more casual fans to watch the game. Big man dominant, but it wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing thing. Nobody wants to watch people back down all the time and throw up hook shots or turn around fadeaways and things like that. From a fan's perspective, not really me as a fan, but you're trying to bring more fans to the game. They want to see crossovers. They want to see people falling down from ankle breakers. They love seeing what Steph Curry's doing, Klay Thompson shooting from 30 feet. So if you have a guard-dominant game, removing hand checking, making sure the floor is spaced, making sure that they'll be able to get to the basket even more, then absolutely, from that perspective, I think it really has helped the game. And I think that from a fan perspective, I think that has really, really helped. I think they could do a bit more things to open it up some more, but definitely moving from big man dominant to guard dominant, it opens up the game.
All right. Time. Does Turner have 1 agree with anything he said? Boom. There it is. Point. Alan, go.
To the same topic?
Same topic.
I think that the perception that the game has moved to a guard-dominant game is good financially. but I'm gonna go a different way with it. I really don't feel like it's entirely accurate. Whether you're talking about the post game or just big guys in general, I don't think there's been a team that hasn't had a front court player be one of their better players, if not their best player, that's won in a while. You can point at Golden State, but a lot of people say Draymond Green is their most important player. If he doesn't play well, they don't win a championship last year. I mean, Curry shoots lights out. Klay Thompson's a great shooter, and that obviously played a huge part. But look at San Antonio for the last since David Robinson got drafted. Teams have had a big guy, a guy in the middle who may not necessarily be their best scorer, but you have to have that guy who is controlling possessions, setting the tone on defense.
Time.
Something Cleveland doesn't have right now.
How you gonna throw that in? How you gonna? Is there an agree? We gotta disagree. Perfect. Is there an agree or disagree? No.
Come on.
Dang, Alan. All right, you
can't win them all.
You can't win them all. You're gonna lose a point for disagree on the lightning round. Perfect. So you turn up. All right, perfect. You need this, brother. Go.
Oh, man. It's hard to say some different things because I agree that it's better for the sport, just mostly for the casual fans. But also just I'm going to go a little bit different route and go for the kids. Seeing that you got guys like with Steph Curry, he's a small guard in terms of like height and stature compared to some of these other players. Just seeing guys, he came from a small school, seeing guys like that, it gives kids that incentive that, hey, you know what? Even though I'm not 6'7" in high school, say I'm 6 foot, I'm 6'1", there's still I'm not gonna give up on this. I'll keep going. I think with the guards, it gives normal people a little bit more of a relationship with the sport, saying, hey, it's not just about these guys who were born with this height and talent. Like, if you're tall, I can teach you how to make a layup and get in the post eventually. But hey, that's all I got. That's all I got.
Do we have? I love this timer, by the way. It's nice.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan.
Do we have any agrees? You got one agree. It's all you need for a point.
I appreciate that.
You got over there, Turner. I can't see it. What was that?
I think that was a thumbs down.
Okay. Boom.
I can't see what that is.
All right, moving back to another topic. How we doing on time here? We're doing good. We're 43 minutes in. Doing good, fellas. Topic 2. Women domestic abusers are not held to the same accountability as male domestic abusers. Perfect. Go.
No, they're not. I gotta be honest. I don't have a lot of experience with it. The real only case that I think of that pops out of my mind is the whole Hope Solo case. She's been charged with so many different like domestic abuse, and there's almost no coverage about it. You get a little sports ticker here on EA Sports, and that's it. But let a football player have an issue, and we're hearing about it the whole summer, the next 6 months. You got Ray Rice lost his job over it. I'm not saying it was right, but there's a different standard. It's a double standard. It's women are only seen as victims, and it's more of a societal issue that we have. Is that that's how we feel about it. If my wife is abusing me, I need to man up. But if I'm abusing her, then I need to be locked up. Well, that's just really not fair, but that's what we do as a society is we give ourselves this double standard with women and men.
Perfect timing. We have a degree. You got an agree. Perfect. You are now 0 point. Oh, we got one. We give you 2 points. You got 2 agrees. All right. Go.
Yeah, piggybacking off that, it is definitely societal. But a lot of that is because we're never going to see women, not we, but society is never going to see women as powerful as men. And that's kind of the problem. You know, women are screaming a lot of, you know, 50-50, women can do everything men can do. But then in the same token, when things like this happen, he mentioned Hope Solo and Jeremy Stevens, but then you have these domestic violence incidents in the NFL, another stain on Goodell. But anyway, you have these domestic violence incidents in the NFL, and even if they're not convicted of anything, they going down, even if all the evidence isn't there. Society has programmed us to tell us that if a woman reports a man, regardless of whether the facts are there, he's in trouble. Doesn't even matter. It's unfortunate, but until we as a society change, it's never going to change. It's always going to be that way. We got to lift our women up more.
I love that last statement. We do have to lift our women up more. Agrees. Any agrees? Boom. 2. Good job. Alan, go.
I agree. I'm going to kind of take it a different way, just entirely. Not just with domestic violence, but any kind of issues with women athletes and their families gets very, very little publication. We've been making fun of the group Brittany Griner situation. That's not domestic violence, but the whole situation where she talked about she was forced into getting married, and then all of a sudden she's filing for annulment. They got a kid. No, and it's all jokes. Shamika Holdsclaw beats the hell out of one of her teammates. They found out that they were dating, and it's not a big deal. We like Turner said, we're talking about doing this whole making women equal in every way that's convenient right now, and that's really what's happening. We're not looking at the whole thing and saying if we're going to compare women to men and try to make them equal, we have to do it all the way around. We're laughing off these situations when it's women abusing anybody or doing anything.
Alan don't like it. He don't like it. He's on his face. He don't like it. What's that? Turner? That agree? Move it over. Yep. You gotta agree. Boom. Point. Disagree. Take away a point. Boom. But no, actually, I said at the beginning of the round, you get 1 point. You get 1 agree, you get a point. So we're gonna leave it at that.
Agree with though.
The thing, what I disagree with is your lack of innovation. You pretty much said exactly what Turner just said. You're a smart guy, Alan. I was expecting you to come with a different angle, you know? Ooh. That's part of the show. We want to agree to disagree. I disagree with the way you came into it. I feel like you phoned it in.
That's why I did the Brittany Griner Shamika Holdsclaw thing, because the reality is, even outside of domestic violence, we're not treating women athletes, I can't say celebrities, we're not treating women athletes the same way we're treating male athletes.
All right. We're going to do one more. One more. Perfect. I mean, I'm trying, brother. You are.
It happens. It's all right.
4 points behind.
I'll be back next week.
You'll be back next week. All right, one more topic. And then we're going to move. And right now, the score, Allen has 5 points. Turner has 4 points. Perfect has 1 point. So better than last week. Last week we had negative points. So we got to, Turner, this is your last opportunity to take this into overtime. No pressure or anything. You know, I, as the host, believe in you, but the other guys might not. So here we go. Should the Miami Heat let Bosh play or not play? Turner, go.
I mean, I don't think they should let him play, and I say that because this is a potentially life-threatening illness that he has with blood clots. So for those who don't know, he's had blood clots that were discovered in his legs, I believe. And what happens is when he has to have blood thinners in his system in order to play. So when he plays in all the strenuous activity of being an NFL player, if he plays and his blood is thin, that causes more complications and possibly could cause him to fall out and possibly die on the court. I understand his competitive nature. I understand he's a professional athlete. I get it. But I don't, if I'm a Miami Heat executive, if I'm Pat Ryerson, I wouldn't want that. And they have a family atmosphere in there in Miami. Nah. Ain't no way he see the court again for me. especially knowing that. If there was a way he could play without having his blood thin, absolutely, I'm all for it. But as long as he has his blood thin, no.
And he agrees. Look at Allen being a true and honest person right now. He could have given you a disagree to keep the lead, and he gave you an agree.
We'll see if you turns a favor.
That's a point.
That's the point. He gets 1 point.
Purvis gave me 1 too. That's 2. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be generous there. For Allen, actually I'm gonna save you for last, Allen. Since you had the lead and Turner came down the court. He hit a Steph Curry 3, and he took the lead by 1 point. But now
I'll play Villanova. That's cool. I'll play Villanova.
Perfect. If you can get 3 agrees perfect, including mine with your perspective, I will give you 5 points. Ready? Go.
I got nothing.
Are you
I'm bowing out. I really want to see these two go at it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm bowing out.
You are getting the Weber.
Oh!
I didn't call it a challenge.
Yeah, man, go. No, you can't do that. What do you mean? Yo, we disagree with your decision.
I don't want to.
You're right. You can, but we still. But
it's okay.
You get
I'm gonna be all right. I'm coming stronger next week.
You got a laminated. You got a laminated disagree for that, sir.
I already thought I was out. Honestly, I thought I was out already. I was ready to understand what y'all was saying.
Keep bowing out. So, Allen, here you go. Here's your chance to come back. Go.
All right. So, last year, Chris Bosh has blood clots in his lungs. They do blood thinners, get it cleared out. Doctors say it shouldn't be a problem this season. This year, he has blood clots in his leg, his lower leg, I think it was. He's on blood thinners. The doctors say if he stays on, he should be able to play. Once it clears out, it won't be a problem. Here's my thing. These two things they say are completely unrelated, and that's supposed to make you feel more comfortable. I actually think that makes it worse. The fact that this is unrelated but keeps happening to him in back-to-back years shows to me that there's a bigger problem. And until he actually goes to figure out what the real problem is, what the larger issue is, he's not worth having on the court. I understand he wants to play. Some people think he's the best player on that team. I'm not a big Chris Bosh fan. We won't get into that. Whatever he does bring is not worth, A, his life, B, the hit on basketball if this dude dies on national TV. You know, the last time an athlete died on TV, the league wasn't as well televised.
Ooh, moment of truth. I guess Turner can't really vote. I mean, he can be honest. Come on, Turner.
No, I'm gonna be you know, I ain't gonna throw no shade. I agree with what he said. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, no shade for me.
Where you at, Purvis?
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, Allen with the 2 points. The 2 points. He came down the court, did a little crossover, spun around.
Told you, I beat Villanova.
Hey, wait a minute, man. I'm a Charco fan.
Me too.
Wait a minute. You can't be Villanova. You got to be somebody else. All right. So,
man, we got to accept it.
The final score: Allen 7 points, Turner 6 points, Perfect 1 point. Allen, I'm gonna give you opportunity to stay a winning spiel, but save some time because we have one more topic that we're going to freely talk about before we turn off for this week.
I got a whole bunch to say. I just want to take a second, shout out, seeing you, man the ship, but also free hops. We still think about you, brother. We love you, man.
Free hops. All right, congratulations, Allen. Last week it was Leonard Lentz Jr. This week is Allen. Allen, please show up next week. Don't go on vacation.
I'm bringing all my challenges next week, so I may not return. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna find a way to work these challenges into the game a little bit more. We gotta issue them in the very beginning. So, last topic we're always going to freely discuss. Please be mindful of time. The topic is quarterbacks and whether or not we believe or you believe quarterbacks are overvalued. Anyone want to start off?
Yeah, I will. Are quarterbacks overvalued? Depends on the quarterback, really. I think you got to look at who the best quarterbacks are and how they lift their teams. Prime Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Breeze, Roethlisberger, and you have other quarterbacks that elevate the play of their teammates, not just putting fans in the seats. If you have a great quarterback, you don't have to invest in as much elsewhere, theoretically, because you have a quarterback that can make up for a multitude of sins. The Packers were a deeply flawed team last year. A-Rod didn't have his best season. However, he covered up a lot of that stuff with his incredible arm talent and mobility. He made throws last year that I've never seen. The throw against the Cardinals last year was one of the best throws I've ever seen. Both of them to Jeff Janis. No quarterback's going to do that. Like, they're the most important position on the field for a reason. Now, you do have your bum quarterbacks, Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's going to be overpaid vastly. But as a whole, yes. I mean, no, I don't feel quarterbacks are overvalued at all.
Go ahead, Alan.
I think quarterbacks are definitely overvalued financially. I think you can't take away the importance of a franchise quarterback, but I don't think that you have to pay every guy that starts for your team $18, $20, $25 million. The fair market value now is unfair. You got to have a guy you can throw $20 million at, or you got to throw $20 million at somebody. That's your options right now. I'm a Redskins fan. I don't believe Kirk Cousins is deserving of what he has right now, let alone what he's looking for. But the reality is, this offseason, when he walks or whenever the case may be, he's going to get that money. So you have to make the choice, and the Ravens did the same thing with Joe Flacco. As much as I like Flacco, he's in the same category. You have to look and say, okay, we can either pay this guy a whole bunch of money, or we can roll the dice on trying to find somebody else. There's so few successful young quarterbacks right now in the league that it's almost easier, it's smarter to just pay the guy that you have as opposed to hope you can develop a young talent, because right now, young talent just isn't developing.
Perfect.
There's no way quarterbacks are overvalued. Even agreeing and talking to the same topic what Alan just said, developing quarterbacks. The NFL is a win-now league. Developing quarterbacks is gone by the wayside. Quarterbacks come into the league, if they're not ready, they don't stay around. They become lifetime backups or journeymen. That's because the quarterback position is the most important position on the field. And if you would ask me this 10, 15 years ago, I might have said no. I might have said the running back is the most important position because teams were more predicated towards running the ball and controlling the game. That's not the way it is now. Receivers and quarterback are what makes the league run. Quarterbacks are what you need. Receivers, you can rotate. You can get a receiver. You can develop a receiver faster than you can develop a quarterback because the level is so hard. If your quarterback is not ready for NFL, he usually doesn't get ready. So when you find that guy who is ready, even if he's not the Peyton Manning or Tom Brady that you want, you're going to give him the money and bank on it because you don't have the time. Coaches don't have the rosters to sit and wait 4 or 5 years for this guy to develop. It's just not the way the league goes. Coaches get 4 years. It takes more than 4 years for a non-NFL ready quarterback to get ready. Most quarterbacks who don't come in NFL ready, it takes about 6 years before they're a decent quarterback. Coaches don't have that time, so they invest in the ones who are best at the time. That's why it's the most valued position on the team.
Yeah, I would just say I think overvalued and overpaid are two different things.
Yeah.
Overvalued, the quarterbacks are absolutely valuable because we've seen how drafting a QB in the first round or in the top 5, if they don't turn out to be a good QB, that team is set back for years, you know. And so, but overpaid, two different things. I mean, the right quarterback, like Turner said, who are making amazing throws and leading their team, are definitely worthy of what they're getting paid. But we'll save it for another debate. So that's our time, fellas. Great job. Those of you who joined in, even if you're catching the replay of it, thank you. Share it. Please follow us on Twitter. It's Sports Politicen. We